As you can see, there are a couple different ways you could build out your prototype and share your prototype. Um, and we're going to go through three of them. The first is the storyboard, and you often see storyboards. I mean, this is the paper form of how to design a prototype structure around a storyboard, but usually there's also a mock-up of an app, for example, that can walk you through it. And we'll talk in more detail in the next couple of slides. There's also the social media post, which is a really effective and newer way of prototyping. Social media posts also include like landing pages and Google ads and things like that. Anything that you can drive interest and test messaging, but also you could just show mock-ups of something, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And then the customized MVP, which is the minimal viable product. That's a traditional way of doing prototypes, and often we would kind of develop kind of the first draft of something, whether it's the first draft of your book or a first draft of a service that you might provide, or kind of the beta version of a product that you will develop, and you start to get people to use it, knowing that there's a lot of holes, or not all the features are complete, but you're trying to look at the process of how well people are engaged, or look at very specific problem sets, which we'll talk about in the next few slides as well. Think of the Uber app. You open the app, you set your destination, you see some nearby drivers, and one of the drivers confirm, and next thing you know, they show up and take you to your destination. That was drawn up through a storyboard prototype, right? Like someone thought about the overall kind of journey and experience that a customer might have using that app, and then it's easily explained in a storyboard. It's a really great tool when you're developing a product or some sort of user experience, like a training where they're following a certain set of steps in order to get to the end experience. And so you could imagine, like Disney has a storyboard experience that's talked about and often talked about in these kinds of prototypes. So it's a way to visualize the journey a customer might have. Hotels have them, and all the potential friction points someone might have, and trying to solve little problems to smooth that out, whether it's how you get the ticket, stand in line, the experience you have while you stand in line, once you get to the ride, what happens, and what happens after the ride as you leave the amusement park, what happens. Those are part of a storyboard prototype. A new way we have to prototype these days is through the internet and social media. There's just some incredibly new and innovative ways you could test out ideas, just through the simplicity of posting something on Facebook or on Instagram, just to get feedback, likes, and reaction to an idea or product that you have. Or you could even go a little bit further and invest a little money in Google ads or Facebook ads, where it sends it to people that you don't know, and you'll see if they're interested in it, whether it's through an ad in a social media platform or a post, and you take them to a landing page, which might have a further description, or a document that you might have, even some screenshots. All of that gives you an idea of how people might react to your product. An example of this is a company might say, "Hey, I have this idea for a all wool sneaker," and they could post it on Instagram and see how many people are interested in this idea of an all wool sneaker. And it turns out companies like Allbirds exist because of the way they've marketed and pre-marketed their ideas, just to see if there's traction in the space. So what's a customized MVP? Well, an MVP is minimal viable product. And this is a way you can test some of your assumptions with just spending a minimal amount of resources. Um, and each time you do it, it's a very iterative process. So let's say, I'll give you a real example. When I wrote my book, The New School Rules and the New Team Habits, we actually developed workshops to help school leaders implement some of the strategies that we have in the book. And these workshops we never tried before, but what we did was we developed a minimal viable product and had invited some people to come and experience the workshop. Then we would run the workshop, which were usually for a full day. And then after the workshop, we would reconvene the team and give each other feedback, make some design recommendations, and do another iteration. So over the fifth or sixth time, we had a more viable product or a more viable workshop that we felt like would hit on all of the things that we wanted to hit on with the target audience that attended the workshop. So it's a great way to test out things like workshops, facilitations, coaching, and it provides a lot of value immediately because you're getting feedback in real time based off of the initial design you have, and then it's a continuous iterative process to get it to a level where you could actually say, it's done and sealed, and you're going to be able to give it to somebody else for them to implement it and run a workshop. So you could see how the minimal viable product gets you to a stage where you can scale up your service a little bit faster.